All right, in this video, I'm going to talk about fitting a pen for a blank that is fragile. A lot of times I call this a slip fit or a loose fit. And the reason being is when these pen kits are made, this is generally speaking for any pen kit, the tube is meant to be pressed onto the part right here and expanded. So when you push the part in, the tube actually flexes out right here. And that's all fine and well if your material on your blank is forgiving or expandable. But when you have something like this, a watch part pen, if you expand this in any way, it will become cracked, or it'll actually shatter, or it might lift up the parts and cause spaces and weird things in there. So we don't want to do that. So we want to make this to where the blank is almost a slip-on fit to these parts. So I do two things to help this. One, I've got my Dremel here, and I'm going to put the blank in, or put the sanding head into the blank. Now I use two different things. I use a sanding head, and I also use a carbide burr. I happen to be using the sanding head here, so we're going to do that. And what I'll do is I'll put the sanding head into the tube. I recommend you don't ever start this first and then put it in, because if you nick the outside, you're doing repairs or refinishing, and that's not fun. So I put it in, and I just do a little grinding. Now you can see I'm kind of going at an angle with the blank. That's to take any edge off the tube. And then I'm going to flatten it out, and I'm moving the blank around, and I'm going around the sanding head flat, because I don't want to dig a channel in my tube. I just want a nice flat finish inside the tube. And then I'll do this other one. Same thing, I'm going to deburr it essentially. And then I'm going to go in. Now you can use a Dremel. I'm using a little Fordham with a hand piece that holds the bits, but you can use whatever you have to do this. Blow it out. Now I'm going to test fit this. Now, should it be loose all the way in? No, that's not what I'm looking for. But I want this to go in at least 1/2 to 3/4 fairly easily. It doesn't. So now I'm going to sand on the pen part. Now, this is a really tricky part, and you can damage your pen parts if you're not super careful. So you want to hold your part really firm and rotate your sander. Now, you could do this by hand too with sandpaper. It would just take a little longer. But all I'm doing is taking off a little material. Now, this is going to be kind of weird to say, but normally I'm removing plating. I happen to be making the Element right now, which is a solid stainless steel kit. So I'm removing actual steel, whereas if I was using like a gunmetal plated kit, I would actually be removing the plating, and you can see it really easily when it removes the plating. And I'll do another video perhaps on that a different day. But really all I'm doing is trying to remove a micro amount of material very carefully without hitting my pen part, so that this slides on or slips on. That's not too bad, maybe a tiny bit more. But you can see I have to kind of work it out. So it's snug, but it's still not tight. Now the caps are a little different. Now if you're doing a cigar or something where you can take the clip off, that is much easier. But in this case, the clips are built in. So I'm going to hold, and I'm going to use my thumb as kind of a shield here. Shield that part. I don't want to scratch it, and I don't want to hit my tool on the clip. So I'm going to very carefully go around this, and I'm going to be going around about 2/3 or 3/4 of the part. Remember, don't hit the top of that. You don't want to nick your pen part and mess up your pen. But I'm going to now move my finger to the other side and use that as a shield. And you could tape this off. I suppose that would probably work. But you just want to keep removing material until you get that fit you're looking for. Now, if you're asking, well, if these slip in or it's a slip fit, won't they come loose? Yes, absolutely they can. A lot of times I'll use a little bit of epoxy or CA glue in there when I assemble this. But that is what we are doing here. And with watch parts or any other fragile blank that has clear on top, this is a really good idea. And you just want that little bit of slip, and then you can put it together. Hope this helps. If you have any questions, let me know.